idea how I have some things that I might be able to, people point you towards or think about, and I have ideas, but I haven't done those things. Okay, so the thing, PD like this is only useful if you think about the small places that might overlap with your practice, and you run with them. Okay, that's, trust me. And it's only useful if you keep in touch with me after this. I'll put up all the information. I made a website for today that you'll get at the end. You have to do that, okay, or else it just doesn't work. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. Before we start, though, I think you guys have had a couple weeks here. So what I'd like to do is entertain. I'm pretty informal, so I want to entertain any, are there any questions or requests or things you've seen, whether it was when Mark was here or Rushton was here, or things you've done that you want me to expand on a little bit or talk about? I'd be more than happy to. Or things that you really want to see today happen, and I can make a note of them. Yes?
The point where using technology in the classroom becomes blended learning, where people are now everybody's using tablets and devices in the classroom, but it's really just the same kind of way of receiving information or capturing it as a student. It's not, the learning is not blended. It's just supported by technology now.
Yeah.
At what point, what takes that, what flips it to a blended learning?
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do a lot of technology, and I'm not going to even talk about the technology I'm doing. And I want to see what you guys are really curious about. And that's another big, important thing, right? Like, if you're not curious, your brain is not going to be open to it. Okay, so I'm going to do some stuff right now for the next 2 hours, and just make a note of the things that pique your interest, okay? So, alright, so the question you had was, at what point does, tech become blended? Okay, so I'll have it there. We'll go over these when we're done. Does anyone have anything else?
Assessments. I am concerned about my ability to check on student progress during a project to make sure that not only are they doing the work, but they're learning stuff.
Okay. Assessments during PBL. So the simulation we're gonna go through is kind of if we're gonna categorize things, I would categorize this more as like an inquiry learning cycle than as a project-based learning cycle. I think if you look at the Buck Institute stuff, which I'm sure you have, the project-based learning cycle, involves this thing called sustained inquiry, which is kind of like little mini versions of what you're going to see here today. So hopefully we can negotiate some of that. But the one thing I will say is that it's heavy on formative assessment, and it's heavy on kind of benchmark assessment as you go through. Huge. And grades really can look inflated when you're doing something like this, which is I'm fine with. But it challenges the way we grade currently, because 4 letters really can't describe a wonderful human being. And that's the thing that can be really tricky sometimes with that. So assessment sometimes is, you don't get it quenched fully, but hopefully we'll model it a little bit. Yeah.
Just prioritizing what is done when the computer is actually in front of the student. We don't have a limited time for that. There's a computer part, it might be an hour a day, hour and a half a day. So kind of prioritizing what you do when you have a computer, what you can do.
Really good question. Yeah, it's a really good question. Some of these I'm sure we're just going to have discussions about. Are you guys all going to be one-to-one environments? Or
No.
I assume not, right? I'm not in a one-to-one environment.
How to do it without the one-to-one environment where you have to share?
I mean, I think that one of the things that, I don't know, this is where I can be kind of snarky and meaning here, but I mean, your success in the classroom has nothing to do with technology. Okay? It just isn't going to have anything to do with technology. It's going to have to do with your passion about your subject and your ability to get students questioning and their confidence in your relationships with them. And technology is going to be a strategic partner in that process. And I don't know, you can't really define a lot of this. So without the one-to-one environment, there is no one, there's the one-to-one environment is you one-to-one with the student, right? That's the one-to-one environment. And then how are we going to leverage the technology to do things that we couldn't do in the past? And sometimes we're going to leverage it to do things we could do in the past, like make a PowerPoint and have our voice over it because we want to give students that to watch at home because we don't want to do it in the classroom. It doesn't always have to redefine everything, but it's where it overlaps with that stuff. So, I mean, that's sort of the like, socially judged to the Catholic high school winter. But we'll go through it. What else? Yeah.
Maybe it would be helpful to have a little bit of a discussion about what different devices that can be used, and kind of, say, for example, Chromebooks versus iPads.
Absolutely. So we're at a school where we're not one-to-one, but kids are allowed to bring any device they have into the classroom, right? So I'll have a classroom with like one table of kids with iPhones and Androids, and the next table they have an iPad, a Chromebook, and maybe a PC, right? So then you start doing things and you realize, oh man, that Google thing doesn't open on the iPad that well, so oops. You know, or the Google form opens on everything. So I'm going to use Google, so that kind of stuff. Really, really good question. Yeah.
Also, I think there's a big push for technology in this, and for a lot of the students, the cyber world is so real. But I think if we're pushing too hard, it could be dangerous. We should teach caution and how to tell what's real on the internet and what's not.
Absolutely.
The value of that.
Yeah, I think it's just a good statement. I mean, I think I believe that that's the teacher's responsibility. I'm not going to wait for my administration to teach me digital citizenship and teach my students. At the high school level, what I do to negotiate that is, I stopped having my students do things on Google Drive, and I call my students on keep a blog. Because that's just much more public, right? And the implications of that are much, and they know that blogs actually change the world. They look at like Huffington Post and that kind of stuff, and they know it changes the world. So they feel kind of that, ooh, man. So then we Google their name. The goal is to get their blog to show up before their Instagram or Facebook profile by the end of the year. That's sort of like we have that challenge. How can we do that? And it's kind of funny. And then kids post stuff that's inappropriate, and then we talk about it, and they remove it. And we talk about the risk of what if I was UC Davis's admissions committee and I just Googled you and I saw that. So that's more about high school. Yeah.
Can you talk more about the blog?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I love. We're going to do a little bit of the vlogging in this activity, so then when we're done, I'll definitely go over that. Yeah.
I was actually just having this conversation with my mother this morning in regards to my daughter, but the microwave thing, like there's a lot of things that students and children make more like everything is instant and at their at their fingertips. But it's like getting them to dig deeper using technology. But I guess it's not really the negative aspect. It's like, how can we get our children to be more mindful of technology and its uses and its ability to do
in a
that.
world where like everything's at their fingertips,
Yeah.
right? When they can just get whatever they want.
Yeah.
I have a 6-year-old daughter, and it's like those going Frozen with another dress on Elsa.
Yeah.
Right? So,
No, it's real.
and then
Elsa's Jesus to me.
and she's going in first grade next year at Petaluma, a school in Petaluma, and they're instituting one-on-one iPad programs for all schools. So I'm like, and I'm like, I don't want her to have an iPad. It like scares me. I don't want that. Please no. And I'm like, but it might be a hypocrite. Yeah.
Yes. I was in second grade this past year, and I'm going to be kindergarten next year. And I don't know, I just battle. I feel like kids in their 5, like, I want human being contact. I don't want their toys to go over screen things. And, yeah, so maybe this isn't a question as much as just that.
I'm 100% with you on that, and I think
Like, are we really sure about this? Like, for kids as little?
Yes, I agree.
here's the beautiful thing that I think is like we're like teaching at this very strange time right now where like all this stuff is happening, for the first time. So like we in history are the people that are going to be the ones dealing with this, right? And I think if anything, if you look from a grant perspective, it's going to challenge our authenticity. Like, can we maintain who we are as teachers while everyone's telling us that all these other things are things we need? And can we pick and choose the things that we really need? So I admire Suzanne Gray, my daughter's kindergarten teacher, and she's unbelievable. And she just, she says, listen, I am the artist of my classroom. I get to choose how I use these things. And I'm going to choose how I use them in a way that I believe in. And I think that, again, it's the art, you have the power to choose. And you can't, other than a scripted curriculum, there's a lot of things we can't choose. But mindfully and thoughtfully using technology, I think, is one that I can't see any administrator not encouraging you. If they want your kids sitting and watching Khan Academy videos instead of you teaching all day long, then that's, I don't know, that's a whole other thing. It's a leadership issue. Anything else? Yeah.
So I have a lot of background with Reggio Emilia.
Yeah, and my daughter's in Reggio Emilia.
And students' connection with the natural world.
Yeah.
So I also really believe in the use of technology, so I'm wondering how can technology be utilized to help students connect with the natural world more?
Yeah.
Because it's very much something unnatural.
Absolutely. I think, I'm going to answer that question right now because I she was talking about, can you describe really quickly the Reggio Emilia approach? Because my daughter's in it. That's her kindergarten.
Sure. Reggio Emilia's approach is really focused on students developing more connection with nature and their ability to explore and picking up things on their own rather than a curriculum that's project-oriented. Mm-hmm. And it really stresses less overstimulation and awakening the students' inner soul to the curriculum versus having lessons forced upon them. Mm-hmm. It awakens their curiosity more so.
I think because I think it's a really powerful approach, especially at the younger grades too. I would say my chemistry class very much follows that too. So I think they can overlap well. I think that there's a lot of things that we don't categorize as technology, but we really have the power to do. And I think that film and images and pictures are ways of capturing the world around us really, really well. So, for example, our kindergarten teacher kept a field trip log of her kindergarten class, right? And encouraged the students to contribute to that and that kind of stuff. So I think that, technology doesn't necessarily have to be coding and playing games that teach you how to add. A lot of it can be, or emailing, it can be capturing the world around us and reflecting on it, right? So it's a little bit, I think that can be a really powerful thing. It's one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of blogging with students. Because, you're putting them in it's why YouTube's so powerful. Kids, Justin Bieber became famous just by posting videos to YouTube. You have a world audience, and it ramps everything up. And the agency and everything just gets instilled. At young grades, that's tricky. But again, pictures, it's the first place these young kids experience technology, FaceTiming with their grandparents. And that whole experience, looking at pictures on your phone while you're at the grocery store. This idea of capturing the world and thinking about it. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Okay? So you guys are in groups. If you're okay. If you're not in a group, get in a group. I'm not going to number you off. And we're going to get going. So I'm going to go through a simulation with you guys. The simulation is going to have 4 phases. And when we're done, you're going to be challenged to come up with names for the 4 phases, just so it organizes our lesson planning. Because you're going to be left with a lesson plan that you will then produce today or later on if you don't finish. So hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so phase 1. All right. Everyone can see? Down the mic? Okay. All right, I'm going to play this video to you once. I just want you to watch it.
gesture. That's powerful. Verizon. Get a Droid Razor M by Motorola and Pig for $49.99.
All right, I'm going to play it again, and I want you just to pay attention to things you might be curious about.
Making the big romantic gesture. That's powerful. Verizon. Get a Droid Razor M by Motorola and Pig for $49.99.
Okay, so the question it's a very simple question. What are you curious about when watching? It can be anything. And what I like is one member of your group to go to this website, and if you could type in, I think it's going to ask you for your team members' names, and just list a list of things you're curious about from that video. So why don't you guys take 5 to 10 minutes? One person in your group, so I just want one response from each table. And you guys can split your table into 2 groups if you want. That's fine.
It's like the Nike app, where they trace your thing. People are making pictures with the Nike app. Sometimes not appropriate pictures, or sometimes a hard message, or sometimes just a funny symbol. There's a big thing on Facebook.
You mean by cycling on a bike, or you're talking about something totally different?
Could be that.
Spell out.
So we need a team name first?
Yeah.
What's the connection? How many miles? Is it that he uses? Is it that he uses technology? What app shape is this? Did we just watch it? Is it available on Android?
All right.
They aren't.
Yeah, how do you know that?
What do you
How do you know the route?
Perfectly.
Yeah, how did he map that out? How did he know?
Oh, it doesn't ask you if you're a team member. Don't worry about it. Just
What app is he on? How many maps? Is this the only map app? That does. How did he know his route?
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, though. I wish my boyfriend would do that for me. Did you see the route for the car? Could you do? How would the route be on the bike versus the car? Could you do it in the car?
Doesn't the map come up after you complete the route? Yeah, but how could you map it ahead of time?
Oh yeah. Did he time it? Was he timing it?
He probably had an idea. I think he had an idea in his mind which way to go. Like, oh, I'm gonna make it. Like, usually in his head, like, if I go this way,
you don't need to put your team name in. There's some questions. All your questions. Type them in.
It doesn't say it's team name.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's my bad. You don't need. I'm just gonna be looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
How
8.
accurate that was. Like, I'm with Tamara. How did he do that? Because when we saw it the second time, we saw that he stopped like at a B or a point. Like the first time, I wouldn't have figured out that that's what he did. But watching it the second time, I'm like, oh, he stopped at the point. Now he must be going to fix the heart or complete the heart.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, who can do that? Who can really do that? Maybe if his girlfriend interested in what he's doing, what would make him even do something like that?
So you're talking about his motivation?
Right. You know, do they always send each other? I don't know. What kind of app was it? Is it, here's where I am today?
I was curious about...
yes. Or age-wise.
Yeah, I'm thinking about converting to it. I'm just scared that I might get hit by a car or something.
I know, the city is actually a pretty sketchy place to... Do we have to put our names in that?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to do our group name. Yeah, no, my husband's a total cyclist and he lived in the city. He was like, certain parts of it are not set up to be safe on a bike.
Yeah, I know it's Britney. Oh, I should say that. Yeah, for spelling. Not like Britney Spears.
It's sad. That's where my husband,
Oh, what was
my family moved.
I thought he said he wanted one.
I just kind of want to know about commercials and even though this is a really powerful narrative, does anyone really remember the product? Like, have commercials just so taken a life of their own? Like, you want to watch it, but do you really remember what it was advertising? You know what I mean? Which is good for our project. Sometimes you miss the point of, like during the Super Bowl, everyone's entertained and watching, but did the device really stick with you? And we watched it twice.
It doesn't.
Captively.
It doesn't.
It didn't really for me. It was awesome, but
Those are neat.
I know me too. I just don't wear them all the time. See, I'm wearing them.
Where'd you get those from?
Years ago. All right, so we got all of our...
We are curious about their relationship. Why San Francisco? How can I do it? What if she thought and said, who is this? Has he done this with other women? Is there an app that shows you how to make shapes?
I'm curious as to, did he just draw it on a map and send it to her?
And he didn't do anything.
I want to know how he went through houses and buildings to make that work.
That's
because there has to be some kind of apartment or something in some of those routes.
Right.
So that shouldn't be so really
easy. That's
perfect.
why I was like, is there an app that tells you, like, if you want to make this shape,
This
does
is
it
where
then
you-
guide you, like,
does
on a
it guide you
GPS
on how to
route or
do that?
something?
I also want to know, what the heck does this have to do with Verizon? I don't understand what it has to do with Verizon.
Data, yeah.
Lots of data.
No, because your Wi-Fi has to work.
All right, guys. And was it the phone that had the GPS, or was it his bike that had the GPS? What had the GPS? Write that down, bro.
Is it on what we're doing today, so I'm not going to answer that. Is the app available on Android and Apple? I believe so. The app is called Runtastic. There's a whole community of, and by the way, you would, if you stop at the end of the video, you can just zoom in and you can see that it's Runtastic. Whole community of people that will actually run different shapes. I think there's people run clovers on St. Patty's Day. It actually, the map will keep track of you. You can, it's a certain, I've done it with kids outside making circles. So that's how he did it. He just used the app Runtastic. You can actually map out the shape and then run it, or run it and it'll map out your shape.
that answered our question.
That's pretty cool, right? Is this real? Yep, so let's talk about the relationship here. So I got really curious about this commercial. Turns out this is real. Some Anderson dude in San Francisco and his girlfriend were like nerdy geology students at SF State, and they were really into maps. So his girlfriend moved to Seattle, and he did this and then sent that to her on Valentine's Day.
That's adorable.
And his roommate worked in marketing for Verizon and contacted the ad agency that they were working with, and they recreated the commercial. So that is the story behind it.
Tinder.
Absolutely real. I don't know if I'm sure the heart maybe looked different.
They did. I worked on that commercial.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, really?
They didn't do the actual heart. The heart was an after effect. So what we did
Talk
was
more about
we
how you
had-
worked on the commercial.
We just had him ride around the city.
Oh, this is
And then
crazy.
so it just all cuts together. And then
He's been showing this commercial for years.
No, I worked on that commercial just as a filming. I was the person who was picking him up at the bottom of the hill and driving him back.
Okay.
Really
right?
So they didn't know. They did not draw the heart. What we just had him do was go up and down where you would think.
But it was based on a real thing, though, right?
Yeah, it can be based on a real thing, but in reality.
Yeah, the commercial.
Yeah, it's a commercial.
So they didn't go through the whole backdrop with you?
No,
Okay.
we just had him ride around.
Because I have a friend who knows that guy and walked me through it, and then on the website, yeah.
So you fixed it.
That is crazy. That's awesome.
So whoever edited it probably looked at that map and probably tried to make sense of it. I mean, you see it for just half a second, so I don't know if anyone's actually going to be checking
emailed the dude trying to get the actual map, and I haven't heard back from him. I wanted like the actual one he did. So we're gonna pretend like that's the actual one. But it's so awesome.
But it was, I mean, but the impact is the same, right?
Absolutely. But I mean, that's so cool. I've done this one time, twice before with the teachers at our school, and then I did it in, at my daughter's elementary school with some of their teachers.
So this is a blog that you've set up. It's like a worksheet within a blog. It's just, we're connected with that.
With this right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys, well, technology. You guys have done Google Drive, right? Worked with Google Drive?
Yeah.
Okay, this is just a Google Form, which is one of the options in Google Drive. So Google Form, if you go create, one of the options is a form. I'll model it when we're done. And all it is it makes public windows for you to throw information that end up in spreadsheets. So the spreadsheet's private for me, and the form is public. It's like when you fill out anything, right? Any form you fill out, DMV or whatever.
Your attendance is on that.
Yeah.
That's what your attendance is on.
I'm pretty sure you can zoom in. I'm pretty sure you can zoom in. She asked what's the resolution. Like if we walked around in a circle in this room right now, would it pick it up? I did it with the kids around Goff and Ellis. We just walked around and made like a box, and it did pick it up. But those kids are really handy with that stuff. I'm not sure, the challenge was I want you to walk in a box, and I want it to reflect on your phone. I didn't tell them what I have to do or anything. I just kind of let them go with that, and then they had to figure out the area of it using the map. So some of the kids, I think, did use Runtastic. I think some of them just used some other mapping softwares. Yeah. So I don't know, but we can try it.
I have an answer to that. It depends on the app you use, but I use the Nike app because I used to walk laps during yard duty, and it depending on how small the area is that you run, so that you can see what you ran, it does expand it if the area of what you did is only in that one spot. Yeah, because like if it just showed Oakland, it would be like a very small dot, but because you were inside of a smaller area, it shows the smaller area which you're inside.
But the thing is so cool. Like your mind right now should be going to like this is about modeling, right? So this is about like taking models and then seeing how it applies to the world. Like you don't need writing apps. It's like educational technology. Can you map it without the address? I don't know, but I'm sure maybe you could draw something out on an iPad. I don't know though. We would have to try that. How did you manage to keep safe? Now we have something to answer all these questions. It's amazing. Did they choose us up on purpose? I heard that it all happened first in SF. What restaurant was she eating at? I don't care. Did she even like him? I think they were an actual couple. How did you make that nice heart shape so we know that it was kind of fabricated? Did he get tired? No.
Someone was driving him.
Was he following the rules? I think initially, yes, and he mapped it out and followed it. What app? We answered that. How long did it take?
Was he like getting to dinner?
How many miles is it? I don't know. Did he just draw the heart? Relationship? What app did you Runtastic? Okay, so there are 2 questions up here that are worth answering. I'm just being serious here. Like, all of the other questions are like, we can talk about the relationship, we can talk about the app. Basically, we can talk about the app, we know that. That can answer a lot of questions. Okay? And we can talk about the relationship, which is just gossip, right? Just fun. And we can talk about the actual setup of the commercial now, because we have some people worked on the crew. So crazy. But there are 2 questions up here that I think are worth answering. So I'd like you guys to chat with each other about, and they're in this box. What are the 2 questions that you think are really worth answering? Okay? Chat with each other for about a minute.
Remember the last one, which was supposed to be. Oh, I'm going to get the PowerPoint. We get the PowerPoint, right?
At the very end.
Okay.
Keynote.
Okay. I can insert it in right now.
That was me trying to read it.
All right, so talk, guys.
Yeah. Well, we think it's the last one. He was the ad.
He said there's two.
I know it's two. I'm looking for the second one.
I mean, yeah, we don't really need trends. I think probably shows it.
All right, 30 more seconds, and you guys come up with a couple questions that you think are worth answering.
I just think it's the effectiveness.
How about how many miles?
Yeah. Do people remember the product? Do they know who the ad was targeted to? And did it result in any increase in sales for Verizon?
All right.
How about miles?
Let's just shout them out. All right, I don't do workshops on classroom management. Sorry, folks. I don't understand it.
I don't understand.
How long did it take? Who was the ad targeted? Who was the ad targeted to?
Is this the only app that does this?
Is this the only app that does this? How many miles? What else? What? How did he know his route? Anybody else? Yeah?
I still want to know the effectiveness of story narratives like this. Do you really remember the product? Did it really
I love it. This is good.
get the targeted audience? I mean, yeah, it was interesting, but we watched it twice, and would we that result in any difference in sales?
Totally. And that's what subject you teach?
Well, I have a journalism background, so that's kind of where that question is
I
coming
worked
from.
in an ad agency for 1 year too, so I love that kind of stuff too. So I don't know who's targeted. I'm sure it was targeted to like for people like Verizon, showing that you could do this stuff on their network. What else? Any other? Okay. All right. So I don't have anything precise yet, you guys. So what I'm gonna do is I want to see if there's any trends. Okay. So you've done this, but I've also had some other people do this as well. So I'm gonna just copy all the responses that I have so far. This is from other kiddos. Okay. So you guys are the adults on here.
And the kids can make better questions. Probably.
This is so cool what he's going to be able to do.
I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to
what's trending in the classroom. And he's going to put another application on us. So I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
We could definitely use a session.
There you go. So now you know what people want to know.
I got a word, like a data visualization. The words that are big are the ones that are used the most frequently. Pretty cool. That just came right out of the So the thing that I like, and I will do a little tech right now, because you're probably like, why didn't I use Wordle, right? Okay. If you haven't heard of Wordle, it's a word cloud making thing. The reason I'm not using Wordle is because Wordle isn't good at educational technology. Wordle's good for making T-shirts for clubs, okay, and posters. This one's great because I can create a workspace. So I can drop in the words that are really big. Which is super cool.
Word shift.
Word sift.
Sift? Word sift.
Word sift.
Oh, like flower.
This is literally an undergrad at Stanford made this thing as like a project in a class. Word sift. App. We'll put the app in there. I don't know. Make, map, time, ride. Okay, so now what we're doing is, I'm going to get meta right now. I would not have done this if we had consensus on a question. Okay? If we had consensus on a question, I would not have done this. So on the next slide, this whole thing is predicated on a question, right? I have a whole lesson plan, and it's predicated. Now, I could have just asked you the question, right? This is so different than pulling it out of you. If I just asked you the question, then I'm still, I am orchestrating this. I'm more than the facilitator. Like, I am the boss right now of this environment. I'm not just a facilitator. Like, I'm trying to get you to ask a question. I'm trying to manipulate you into asking a question. If I just ask it of you, that's not inquiry, that's not PBL, that's direct instruction. I'm telling you the question I want you to ask. I'm telling you what I want you to do. So I want you to ask the question, or I want to convince you that it's worth answering. Okay? So I got some stuff up here, and we got how long did it take to make the hard math? Okay? Time. How do we know the time? Math, route.
How long did it take?
Heart rate, right? So, how long did it take it to make the heart, right? I think that's a really legit question. And I'm not just saying that, I pulled it out of the data, okay? How long did it take for them to make that? Do we need to know some other things, though? Can we just answer how long? What else might we need to know in order to figure out how long? The speed, okay. Alright, so the speed, we definitely need to know the speed. So what else might we need to know if we have the speed and we have how long? Yeah. Distance? Distance, okay. So you might not know distance equals rate times time yet. You may know that already. The thing about it is, though, if you do this with fourth graders and they don't know an equation, which they probably shouldn't know, they can, I'm willing to bet, a lot of people can understand that if you have the speed and you have how long, the missing variable is distance. Just based on the fact that we've ridden in cars our whole life, okay? And that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make the assumption right now that we have three things. How far did he go? How long did it take? How fast was he going? All worthy things of us answering. And I say worthy only because we can actually figure those out. Okay. Which one do you think is the easiest one to figure out first? Distance. Time. Start, stop. I'm going to rephrase the question. Given the information that we have in the video, what is the easiest one to calculate?
Well, distance, because it's on a map.
It's on the map, right? We don't have the whole ride. We can't go start, stop for him. Right? We only have little segments of him doing it. So we could actually get his speed, but then we're making a big assumption that he was going that speed the whole time. Okay? Also, if you're doing this with high school students, and I asked you to calculate his velocity, what would the answer be? Anyone know any physics? Velocity is 0, because he starts and stops and goes and ends in the same space. So it could be like a whole, you can tunnel, you can mess with the kids and be like, calculate the velocity, they're all going to come up with the speed, and then at the end you're like, sorry, it's 0, bye. You know? And then what a great opening to teaching kids about velocity, right? The difference. You know, velocity is change in distance over time. So he's starting and stopping in the same space, and the numerator is 0. All right, so I think that phase 2, how far did you ride? I think that's worthy of us doing. Okay? So that's the challenge that I have for you. You guys have some technology at your fingertips right now. I'm also going to push out to you some tools. Okay? Here I have a picture, a screenshot of the map, how far he went. And when you finally come up with your distance, any way you like, because you're adults, I'm not going to scaffold you. If you were third graders, I might tell you exactly how I want you to do it, but you guys, I'm going to open it up to you, okay? This is a picture of the map zoomed in that I put on a Google Doc that you can all access. And this is where you're going to submit your answers, okay? So this is your guys' challenge right now. I will say that the answer to it is on the internet, okay? And I know what that answer is. So I want you to calculate, okay? We can go back and do a % error calculation when you're done, if you want. And you can use the one on the internet to see if you're close, if you're able to find it, okay? But, you know, 1 minute Googling it and finding the answer is not, okay, I know that. So, I'm going to challenge you guys to do this in 20 minutes, okay? So let's see if you can do it in 20 minutes, and then in 20 minutes, I want you guys to start putting in the